You know what's terrifying? When the people in charge of keeping our actual country alive can't stay awake long enough to do their jobs. And I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean that so literally. We've got eyes closed, heads slumped, lights are on, but nobody's home. We've all watched Trump going full Mitch McConnell lately. And no, I'm not talking about the freeze. We'll get to it. But first, we need to understand how we even got here. And quickly, please take a moment to make sure you're subscribed with those notifications on, because what's happening at the Department of Health and Human Services right now lacks any resemblance to policy. We've got a Saturday Night Live sketch that somehow got greenlit as our actual government. A traveling circus, except the clowns are in charge of your prescription drugs and the ringmaster keeps falling asleep between acts. This is what happens when you staff an entire agency like you're casting a reality TV show instead of running United States. You end up with a catastrophic shit show instead of healthcare leadership. So let's walk through this fever dream step by step, shall we? Let's start with the warm-up act, Dr. Oz, a man who spent the better part of 2 decades hawking medical cures and snake oil to daytime television audiences. He's now making life or death policy decisions for 330 million Americans. Here he is explaining the administration's bold new vision for public health.
Real quickly, you guys are putting a stop to the boosters for everyone. Why is that?
Well, we're asking, again, that folks go back and kick the tires on what's really in their best interest. So the FDA lead, Marty Makary, has said in a beautiful article this week in the New England Journal that you need to give boosters, if you want, to seniors, but you can't force them on young people because we don't have enough evidence that it makes sense for them. So we're still going to pay for it. CMS will pay for these booster shots for COVID, but it doesn't make sense for us to demand, insist, or mandate that.
It's not necessary for everyone. All right, Doc, I think you guys are following the science on this. I'm glad we got new folks in that are looking at the actual numbers now. Thank you, sir.
You guys are putting a stop to the boosters for everyone. Why is that? Dr. Oz, well, we're asking folks to go back and kick the tires on what's really in their best interest. Kick the tires on science and vaccines like you're browsing Facebook Marketplace for a used Kia with 200,000 miles in a questionable Carfax report. Even vaccines are one of the most studied medical inventions in human history. COVID boosters went through extensive clinical trials that involved tens of thousands of participants. The CDC's own data shows that boosters significantly reduce hospitalization and death, particularly among older adults and immunocompromised individuals. We have peer-reviewed evidence published in the New England Journal of Medicine, The Lancet, literally hundreds of scientific publications. But this is the guy who sold Garcinia Cambogi as a miracle weight loss supplement and testified before Congress in 2014 about his flowery language promoting products with zero scientific backing. And now he's on to dismantling vaccine policy with the same rigor he used to promote colon cleanses. The difference? Green coffee bean extract won't kill you. Telling people to skip vaccines might, and they might harm your neighbors too. We eliminated measles in the United States in 2000. Measles came back because of declining vaccination rates. Whooping cough, same story. These are documented public health failures that happened when people in power tell Americans to kick the tires on established science. But if Dr. Oz is the opening act, then RFK Jr. is the main event. Brainworm guy, dead bear cub collector guy. The Atlantic published a profile calling him the most powerful man in science, which sounds like calling an arsonist the most powerful man in the fire department. Here's where things got really dark, because RFK Jr. has catastrophically bad judgment about people. Listen to him discuss his social circle.
Yeah. So, you run into everybody in New York. I mean, I knew Harvey Weinstein. I knew Roger Ailes. I knew O.J. Simpson came to my house. Bill Cosby came to my house.
You mean to tell me you were just friendly with all the worst people on planet Earth? Good to know. Jeff Dahmer came over to make some pasta. Okay, apparently we're doing the whole Dahmer thing as a joke now, but the horror Hall of Fame part, the birds of the feather, with all the worst people, he's admitting to associating with criminals, pedophiles, sex pests, and now this man, once again, unfortunately, continues to oversee our CDC and the FDA and the National Healthcare, Medicaid, Medicare. I can't. But conspiracy theories will never accept responsibility. When people pointed out that he might maybe be promoting anti-vaccine propaganda and that might make him seem unhinged, RFK had an explanation. When in doubt, blame the Democrats. The Democratic Party spent tens of millions of dollars to make RFK look like a crazy person. I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't cost a single dollar to make him look cray-cray. He also went on to say, to marginalize me, to publish prejudice against me and publish fake news to make me look crazy. The Democrats didn't need to spend anything, my guy. You did this work yourself so generously. You've claimed vaccines caused autism despite that study being retracted and its author losing his medical license for fraud. You suggested Wi-Fi causes cancer despite no credible evidence. You promoted ivermectin for COVID despite large, multiple trials saying there's zero effectiveness, my guy. The Atlantic describes you as existing in the atmosphere of rising distrust of U.S. institutions. But you helped create that atmosphere by spreading misinformation that directly contradicts established science. The profile mentions you, RFK Jr., and your security team, and all the warnings and that resentments against you had elevated above the threshold of lethality. When you spend decades of your time telling parents their children don't need vaccines during a pandemic that killed over 1 million Americans, maybe the resentment stems from consequences of your own actions. So this is the team. Dr. Oz telling people to kick the tires on vaccines while ignoring clinical information. RFK Jr. claiming persecution while promoting debunked theories. But sure, the president who appointed them is providing steady leadership. And if you look at these three men and you see competent leadership, you need glasses. Now about that Mitch McConnell comparison. Mitch McConnell had many a freezing incidents where he just stops mid-sentence and stares off into space while his staff panics. But recently, Mitch McConnell straight up fell, just took a tumble, collapsed. And you can see it coming with Trump too. Watch him walk, that wobble, that unsteady gait, the way he grabs onto things, those swollen ankles. The White House won't explain. The bruised hands, covered in makeup, the chronic venous insufficiency diagnosis that quietly slipped out. This is a man who looks like he's one strong breeze away from eating pavement. Every time he navigates stairs or a slight incline, you hold your breath waiting for the inevitable faceplant. It's not a question of if anymore, it's when. Mitch McConnell already took his tumble. Trump's just building suspense now. Any day now, we're just going to see him go down like a sack of potatoes. And the White House will release a statement saying it's about transparency. He's in perfect health while we all watch the replay over and over again. The man can barely stay vertical when he's conscious. But what happens when he's nodding off mid-meeting? He's going to slump right out of the chair and go into the Oval Office carpet. They're going to tell us that it was a planned power nap next time that happens. Previously, we've mentioned the Trump MRI. We did an episode on it and how he declared it perfect. We know a doctor would never say that. And photos keep surfacing of swollen ankles and bruised hands. The White House refuses to explain any of it. Both Mitch McConnell and Trump are in their late 70s, early 80s. Both are showing signs that they're not operating at full capacity. Mitch McConnell's already fallen. Trump's going in that same direction, by the way things are trending, with just more naps and less explanation. This is your American leadership team. And if you enjoy this video, please take a moment to subscribe. We'll be back with more.